Okay, this is the video for lesson 1.2 for WordExpert, mainly for domain 1.2. It's going to go over translating in languages and then editing restrictions. So you just have one file that you need to download, and it's called the Apples file, and it looks like this. Okay, so once you download that, you're going to open it. We're going to translate the entire document to a language of your choice. So if we go to the Review tab, and then there's a language section, there's a translate option. Now, you can translate a selection of the document, but in this first step, it's going to do the entire document. So we're going to choose translate document. It's going to come up with this translator menu. It's going to auto detect what language it starts with. You're going to choose whatever language you want. Okay, so come through and look through anything you want, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to change it to French. Okay. Then you'll hit translate. It will translate the entire document to French. Okay, so you can kind of scroll through and look through that. Now, notice it does kind of come up with a new document here. So you have your original and you have that document. Before we save it, we're going to restrict the editing on this document to allow only comments. So the other part of this lesson after translating stuff is restricting edits on it. So if you go to the Review tab, in the Protect section, there's a Restrict Editing portion. So we're going to select that. Now there's two different types of boxes that you can check when restrict editing. For our first one here, we are restricting to only allow comments. So if you're only allowing certain types of editing, then this second option is what you want to check. And then you have a drop down and it says like what is allowed to be edited. So tracking changes, comments, filling in forms. So it's like if you don't want them to edit the document at all, you just want them to fill in the forms you've created, you can do that. So we are going to only allow comments. Oops, that's not what I want. We only want to allow comments, so we're going to change that to say only allow comments. And then it does give us a password. It says insert 2121 as the password. So when I hit yes, start enforcing, it will ask for a password. That is optional, but you have to put it in twice. Make sure it's the same both times. And then this document is protected from unintentional editing. You can insert only comments in this section. So you can exit out of that. And that is our editing section. Now we're going to save this document as Apples / the name of the language that you chose. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and whether you save it into a specific file or if you save it into your downloads, then I have a folder I'm going to put mine in. WordExpert 1.2. Okay, so you're going to call it Apples. And then I chose French. So whether it's Danish or whatever language you chose, you're going to do Apples / French and hit save. Okay, next is we are going to open the file again. So whether you're in Schoology, if you go download that document again, okay, open up that original file. You may already have that original one open. And then we are going to translate just the first paragraph to a language of your choice. So this first paragraph right here, you're going to go ahead and select that, because if you remember when we did review and we did language section and translate, there was an option for translate the selection. So we've already selected our first paragraph, and I just want to do that so it detects what it is in English. And then you can say, okay, translate it to, and go pick what you want. So I'm going to pick Greek. Okay, it will show you what that is before, and then you can hit insert and it will change it out, and it's just a selection. Okay, so that first paragraph should be different. Now we're also on this document going to restrict the editing, but a different type of editing. So we're going to restrict the editing on this document to limit formatting to the recommended minimum styles. So remove formatting and styles that are not allowed, enforce protection without a password. So if we look at this one, our first paragraph's edited on the Review tab in the Protect section. Remember, there are two different types of restrict editing. we can allow certain types. The last time we allowed only comments. This time, we're formatting a selection of styles. So I'm going to check that. But our instructions do say to format to the recommended minimum styles. So if I hit the settings button, it allows me to go through and kind of choose any type of styles that I can select that are allowed. But it told me to just do the recommended minimum. So I'm going to hit recommended minimum, and then it will go through and select what those minimums are for me. It does say remove formatting and styles that are not allowed. So that's kind of what it did already when I chose recommended minimum. And then enforce protection without a password. So when I hit OK, do we want to remove them? Yes, we will go ahead and remove them. That's what it was asking. When we hit yes, enforce protection, this password is optional. So I can just hit OK without putting in a password. So that means that people don't need a password to go through with any of those changes, restricting editing. Now this one, we're going to save this document as apples dash whatever you chose for this one. In my case, it was Greek. So file, save, oops, not as Adobe PDF. File, save as. And I'm going to go through to whichever, whether you do it again in your file folders or you do it into downloads. I suggest folders for you. Okay, this one's going to be called apples and mine's Greek, so whatever your language was that you chose. Okay. And then you're going to submit both of those files to Schoology. So then you'll attach your two files, the one that was, mine was French and Greek or whatever. Those are the two files that you will attach. One is completely translated, one has just the one translation. Okay, and hopefully that helps you kind of walk you through the lesson for Domain 1.2.